Thank you, Nick, for that introduction. I am Dr. Jalman Ali. I'm from Compassionate Math. I come bearing gifts that my wonderful and amazing 6-year-olds packed for you. So theoretically, there are 2 stickers, a bookmark, and a button in there for you as a gift. As I was unpacking, a button did fall out, so if you're missing a button, it's in there. And he's really good. One day I said to him, oh, can you do me a favor and help Mama, because I'm really stuck and I need Mama's help. And he always needs Mom, like he wants to hang out with Mama. And I'm like, pack these bags with me and for me. And then I gave him $5. And then yesterday I texted my husband. I said, can you pack some bags? And I came home and my husband said, your son wants to know how much money you're giving him. And then this morning he crawled into bed and he said, and I gave him $5 and he said, no, I want the cool money. I was like, what do you mean? And he said, the blue $5.
That looks like
a euro.
Oh, okay.
Because we had just come back. I took my husband and my son with me to
And because it's worth more.
No.
Yeah, maybe he might be smarter than we all thought, right? He was like, oh, it's pretty and blue like Sonic, but now I speak straight. So this is the picture from the Global Math Summit, where Nick and I had met, and he had invited me to come speak to you today. And I want to start with this picture because I went to Sardinia, and it was an amazing experience at the Global Math Summit. We all are really motivated to like take the work that we're doing and project it forward more. And I'll tell you a little bit about my work throughout this talk. And we're all wonderfully happy and smiley here, right? Now, here's what's not in the picture. Somebody in this picture was suffering from extreme digestive discomfort while traveling on a different continent. Yeah. Somebody is not in this picture because there was such political unrest in their country that they chose not to leave their country for safety. A second person did the same thing and had made the decision immediately when the invitations came out that they were not going to leave their country for safety. Somebody here has a special needs child, actually more than one, I think, probably statistically speaking. Somebody there was gluten-free in Italy. Actually, several people were gluten-free in Italy. Yeah. What's worse is that the hotel and the restaurants that we had gone to were not respecting and honoring that. Right? It's not just that you can't enjoy the amazing breads and pastas. It's that they just looked at you like they like, right? It just didn't register. I carry this all the time now. What is this? It's an AirTag. It's an AirTag. I travel around the country. I rarely travel with my family. And I'm going in places that make me afraid. As a woman of color, as a Muslim, and as an immigrant. Papers, please. I have my papers on me all the time now. Right? Also because I speak a lot about social justice and it doesn't matter what state I'm in. So as we were all talking and we were all working, and I'm carrying this, and I'm thinking about you all, and I'm thinking about the work that we all do. And it hit me. We're all tired. Right? Right? Like, I feel like I'm more tired, and I'm getting older, and things are happening, right? And things are happening with my body and with my brain and my knees, right? But that's not the kind of tired that I'm feeling, right? Like, there's this existential exhaustion that I'm experiencing that some people that I connected with in Sardinia were experiencing, that I don't think we're not talking about COVID, but I think we've experienced a collective trauma that we were never given the opportunity to heal from. And the noise is just getting louder and louder and louder and louder. And so we're all tired. And so I was thinking about that, and I walked up to Nick while we were walking into a session. I handed him a napkin, and it said, "We're all tired. Compassion is a source of strength." And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, "Yes." It's like, okay, let's see. So my goal for you today is to share a little bit about my work and a little bit about how you could leverage compassion for yourself to help find that inner strength and to also make good choices and to protect yourself. One thing that really drives me nuts is just saying, well, I know we're all tired, but we're all just going to have to rally on and keep going, right? But I don't want that. I don't want to keep going. I'm tired, right? Are you tired? Right?
Yeah.
I love my job.
That's amazing, right? That's amazing. That's wonderful, right? Are you tired? Right? But even when you're even when you love your job, do you have those days, right? No.
Every day on this side is the best day ever.
Look who's living in a Lego world. Every day is awesome.
Life is awesome.
That's amazing.
That's my theme song.
No, congrats. I love that. I love that. And I'm not discounting feeling that, and I'm not saying that's wrong or that's weird, right? But I'm not, I promise. But but who's tired? Right?
I'll be tired, boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tired, man.
So here's you. And here's the world that we live in. Allow me to presume your life, right? I was a former professor and I taught community college and I taught in a 2-year school, etc. We have our professional organizations, our non-professional life, what goes on in the classroom, our mentors and our mentees, the Department of College and Institution, and our professional contributions, and all the things that are forcing us and making us like asking more and more and more of us, right? And with no relief, right? You know, when I tell my kid I'm tired, he doesn't care. Right? Nor should he, by the way, right? When my feet are achy and when I'm suffering from jet lag or whatever, and I still need to go and work with another student, or when I'm super, right? When it's so late at night and you have like that stack of exams to grade. And then your institution says your students need ... You do it. Faculty, tutors, right? We don't have the money to hire the support. You do it. We don't have the money for CAPS, right? Psychological services, right? And so this is what we're carrying. And so there's a lot of stuff. And what does this lead to? This leads to burnout for a lot of us, right? And we have to keep silently trudging along. But I want to talk about compassion. Compassion, defined by Neff, there's a workbook, actually, the Self-Compassion Guide, and has a great research-based book on compassion, says compassion is the recognition and clear seeing of suffering. It also involves feelings of kindness for people who are suffering so that the desire to help, to ameliorate suffering emerges. Finally, compassion involves recognizing our shared human condition, flawed as it is. Compassion is not just about empathy and saying, oh, I get you. right? And it's not about advocacy and taking care of somebody. It kind of sits between all of it. And I argue that in our world of exhaustion, if we foster a little bit more compassion to our colleagues, to our students, to ourselves, and to our family and our friends, if we give a little bit more compassion, we may be a little less tired. Because as you recognize the flawed nature of our human condition, and as you give to others and give to yourself at the same time, then you're going to find that inner strength to keep going. And maybe this is why you have maybe this is why every day is awesome, right? Maybe you're just living in this and embodying it wonderfully, right? Or you're just in Legoland. Okay, so let's start with our students. And I'm starting with students for a very particular reason, and I'm not ignoring our own needs, okay? But, and this is where you're going to see a little bit of my work. This is the compassionate math framework that I'm about to present to you. This is the work that I do. This is the foundation of all the work that I do. I do workshops with students on working through math trauma. So the past experiences that prevent them from wanting to or being able to engage in mathematics in the present day. All the stuff that I heard about arithmetic and teachers not liking math or not knowing math or not being interested, etc., all of that, I was hearing math trauma. These are just people who are suffering from math trauma. So this is the work that I do. I work with students to help them work through math trauma. And this is the foundation of that work, the basis of this workshop. These are the socio-emotional factors that contribute to mathematical success. These are areas of research in math education. Just so you know, these are all different pillars of math research. I look at this, taking that step out of academia that I liberally took and away from the research, I look at this in an intersectional way. Uh-oh, I pressed the button and I froze the thing. Oh. So we'll start with math anxiety. Math anxiety is just the bare bones fear of doing math. Now, most everybody thinks that what they experience is math anxiety, and not always, but math anxiety is just that. It is an anxiety that's triggered when you are required to do math, no matter where you are, no matter what the setting is. Stereotype threat and imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome is the feeling that you do not belong, that you are an imposter, that you are fake, that you should not be doing this work. If you're a first gen student in a math classroom, maybe you feel like you don't belong in college anyway. And so this is why this is hard, right? Stereotype threat is kind of, I think of stereotype threat as a cousin to imposter syndrome. Stereotype threat is an anxiety that is triggered when you are consciously or subconsciously reminded that you belong to you identify with a group that stereotypically over underperforms in a situation. What does that mean? That means as a girl from Queens, we drove a lot in New York, I know how to parallel park. Okay? I know how to parallel park. And I don't need the camera because I'm not old. Actually, when I use the camera, I mess up, right? And one time, I will tell you, I parallel parked. There was an 18-wheeler, double parked, and then it was an open spot, and I got it. Another time, there was an ambulance open with the doors open, and I pulled in with the doors, and then I left right away because of the karma that I knew was going to rain down upon me for blocking an ambulance, because that was the only spot I could find, and I was able to pull in. Okay. One time, I was in a beach community, and we're looking for a place to park, and there isn't really a place to park, right? It's right, all the cars are there, and I found a spot. And my windows are open because it's a gorgeous day, and I'm about to pull into this spot. It's a tight spot, but I know I could get my car in. No problem. And I saw there was this dude who looked at his friend and was like, watch this. And he pointed at the car and he pointed at me. And I know why he did that. Why did he snicker?
If it's a woman.
It's not going to happen, right? Why not? Because I'm a woman. Because girls can't park, right? So, what if I mess up in that moment? What if I happen to not pull in? Jalan messed up. Jalan, the expert parker who always knows how to pull the car in and knows exactly when the bumper is halfway through the backseat mirror, that's when you stop and that's when you turn the wheel in. And then when you're 45 degrees, you fix it to adjust, right? Whatever, right? That's how you parallel park. I know how to parallel park. If I mess up, then I'm like, oh, whatever, I wasn't paying attention. But in that moment, I am reinforcing for him that women can't park, right? So that is stereotype threat. So more than likely, I will mess up. It is a known and recognized phenomenon that I am more likely to mess up. By the way, I did not. Because I knew. And I walked by him and I went, heh. And he didn't know why I said that. Right? Or he did, but you know. So that is stereotype threat. Stereotype threat is such a well-documented phenomenon. This is why SATs have demographic information at the end of the exam now, not at the beginning. When I was a kid, we had to fill in all the bubbles. I had to tell all sorts of things about me. And guess what? I probably did better on my SATs than I actually did. Attitudes and values. Is math important to you? Is math important to your people? Is math going to get you what you need? If it's not important, then why does it matter? And that's where that question of when am I ever going to use this and what is this good for comes in. This is an attitude and a values check from your students. Math identity. Are you a math person? And not just are you a math person. Do people think of you as a math person? Do people treat you like a math person? Do people talk about you like you're a math person? Because I will tell you, people don't believe that I'm a math professor. I was once teaching, and security walked in, and like public safety walked in and pulled a student out to talk to them. And I was in the front of the room getting ready, right? It was just before class started. And they just walked in and pulled. And I walked out and I was like, excuse me, where are you going with my student? He goes, who are you? I was like, I'm the professor. I'm Dr. Ali. And he goes, oh, I thought you were just putting papers away while your professor showed up. I was like, no, sir. Now go leave my students alone and we will take care of this matter later. Because they need to learn right now. Right? If this is a constant issue, especially for people of color, especially for women, of being treated or not treated like a math person. Efficacy, enjoyment, and motivation. Self-efficacy, do you have the confidence to know that you are going to be successful? If you're not going to be, if it's not going to happen, why bother, right? And are you motivated to do so? And do you find joy in your work? Is math joyful? Oftentimes our math classes aren't the most joyful spaces, and I am just as guilty of that. Once or twice I taught, and in the middle of the lecture or in the middle of class, I would turn around and be like, you know what? I'm bored. Right? Right? Like sometimes you're teaching and you're bored yourself of what you're doing. You're just going to pause. You need to take a break. Right? If it's not joyful, and this was something we talked about a lot at the Global Math Summit, if there's no joy in what you're doing, then what's the point? And we have a million other things that I'd rather be doing right now. right? Like, I'd rather be on TikTok or surfing Instagram, right? Or cooking or knitting, right? Or whatever. And equity and social justice. The granddaddy in the room. Or the matriarch. Equity and social justice is a reason that a lot of these bubbles exist. I fundamentally believe that. People who have been non-traditionally successful in mathematics classes are the ones who more likely suffer from these factors. And this is a huge reason why we have the issues that you've all been talking about all day, about engagement or about filling in, about success, and right? All of this stuff. It's an equity problem. And it's a social justice problem. So this is like where this gives you a taste of the type of work and focus that I do. I help students understand the sources of their trauma, both by understanding the compassionate math framework, a little bit of curricular history to help them work through this, help them understand that they are fundamentally math people, that human beings are mathematical beings. As a human being, you are a mathematical being. Where does the equity come in? The equity comes in the less human you think I am, the less mathematical you think I am. And on the other side, I do professional development, again, with this as my basis. Notice content knowledge is the foundation, is the key to all of this. Never forget the rigor, never forget the mathematics. I'm not a softie. Okay, great. So, one way to foster compassion with your students, at the very, very least, is to internalize and think about this framework. Because I talk to lots of faculty and some of them will say, I have no idea that this is what goes on in my math classroom. Although most of those faculty are not talking to their students, probably, right? And not having interactions with their students. And this is a foundation for being able to open the doors to fostering compassion for your students. Okay. Great. So that takes care of the students. What about you? Let's find a space for you to find compassion to yourself. And I'm going to start by taking you back to the compassionate math framework and thinking about the traumatic experiences that you may have had. Because math, for a lot of us, was an internal love, and there are a lot of things that got in our way. And let me tell you something, the work that I do is a love letter to my past self. My past self as a faculty member, my past self as a graduate student, right? Like, I was told that I wasn't intelligent enough for a PhD. That faculty member now has to call me doctor. And if I ever see him, I will never accept for him to say Jalan. He will call me Dr. Ali and I will hear him say it. We almost ran into each other at a conference and I was waiting for that. So take a moment, like spend some time, the first space. This is why I started with the students, because, you know, you're just further on down that same road, right? And take some time and think about yourself. Think about like what I love about the course, the applied algebra course, is that it's helping to break down those pieces of what was missed. There's the assumption that stuff was missed along the way, right? And now you have to just live with those consequences. And you're like, no, you don't have to live with those consequences. We could go back and we could put those pieces together. Take that time and do this for yourself as well. Okay? So that's one step. That's on the academics. In a personal step, you could be like a phoenix and practice self-care. I know you're gonna roll your eyes. You can be like, Joanne, self-care, ugh. Audre Lorde, the Black feminist scholar, and Bell Hooks, the Black feminist scholar, are two of the women who had written so well and originally about self-care. Self-care is not about the spa industrial complex and about shutting the door and getting a manicure. Audre Lorde says, caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. This is coming from a Black feminist and a political activist, so these words make sense for her. So why would I say this to you? Why am I showing you this quote about what self-care is? Because you are doing the same thing. You're fighting a fight of political warfare. Remember that. Be inspired by that. You are opening the doors for social and political and economic equity, right? By working with community college students and two-year students, by working with the dregs of society that no one cares about, that no one expects to survive, right? The girl who wasn't paying attention and got pregnant, right? Because it's her fault. The guy who shouldn't have been running drugs and is now a felon, right? The kid whose parents couldn't afford to send him to school anywhere else because that's not important, right? Think about the students who you're working with. And the more work that you're doing for them and the more support that you're doing for them, right? You are fighting a good fight. You're doing an amazing job every single day. I commend you and I honor you and I respect you for all that you're doing. What you're doing is an act of political warfare. And you have to remember that. And that is what self-care is. And that is why you need to practice self-care care for yourself. Why you need to be able to put up a shield for yourself sometimes. Okay? So that means meeting your needs first. Sometimes. That means putting up the wall. Sometimes, for me, that means sometimes texting my husband, who's in the other room, saying, I can't right now, please do something fun with the kid. And he will do that. I will honestly say one reason that I can do this work is because I have an amazing partner who supports me in this way, right? So I'm able to manage into all of this. So bath bombs are nice, right? But what I'm offering you is to think about your sleep. Are you getting enough sleep? Right? Because let me tell you, man, if I don't get my 8 hours, woe unto you. Right? On a good mattress, in the dark, and I have a night mask. And I really love that, like, eyelashes are such a thing because if you go to TJ Maxx, you could get eye masks that, like, have little cups over them. So they're not, like, right on your eye. They're a little bit above your eye, right? So you can sleep in the dark with a sound machine. I discovered sound machines when I had my child, right? It actually does. It really helps. It helps you get better night's sleep. Please get good sleep. Get good sleep. Take care of your nutrition. Take care of your body. Right? I am pre-diabetic now. I'm also Muslim and I don't eat pork. So when I heard the menu, right, Nick was like, I was like, I don't need any pork. I don't eat pork. And I was like, but I'm pre-diabetic, so I can't just eat the noodles. So I brought a little bit of steak for me so I could have a protein so I can take care of my body, right? I had to do that. Assalamu alaikum, you were welcome to share some steak with me or some chicken wings that I brought with me, okay? Because you need to have the protein. I have to have protein first. I cannot have carbs go through my body, right? You have to take care of yourself. take medical care if you are honored enough to have like access to medical care in this society. Physical fitness. This is where I fail, for sure. Maintaining a circle of support. Your friends, your loved ones, your community, your people, right? The people that you can be like your ugliest with and your meanest with, who will still love you. But don't be too mean to them, right? Because you need them, right? To have empathy. Grounding exercises, meditation, and focus. This is my favorite. It's discretionary. Because all this other stuff, you're like, yeah, Siobhan, yeah, we all know. No. Okay, discretionary time. Hold on, let me get Cassie Holmes at UCLA. I wanted to give proper honor. Researches happiness and time poverty. Time poverty is I don't have enough time, right? In my day, in my life, right? And we all feel like we don't have enough time. But if you had unlimited time, you would be like life would be meaningless. Okay? So, like financial poverty, there's like, I really don't have enough time or money. And then there's a sweet spot, right? A couple of years, like 10 years ago, it was like $75,000. Now I don't think they know where the sweet spot is because no one really wants to talk about where the sweet spot is of where you're living okay, right? And then there's I have more money than I really need. And then you become unhappy, right? That's time is the same way. It works in that same bell. I really don't have enough time to do all the things that I want. And then there's a sweet spot of being able to feel like you are fulfilled in your time and space. And then you keep moving forward. And if you have too much time, you're too idle, you don't have meaning. There's no meaning in it. So there's the sweet spot. So how do you find the sweet spot? And Dr. Holmes noted the sweet spot. The sweet spot is that if you can find 2 hours of discretionary time a day that is well used in a way that is personally fulfilling to you, you're good. That's like maximizing your times. You're like, oh God, Joanne, I don't have 2 hours. I'm like, I know you don't have 2 hours. You know what? I don't have 2 hours. You know why? Because I know if you actually were a camera and followed me, you know that I'm sitting there scrolling Reddit. You know that I'm checking like those emails way too many times, right? You know, right? We have time. There, like, so in the morning, maybe it's not laying in bed, scrolling my phone, looking at my calendar, thinking, oh God, what is my day bringing to me? Or, oh yay, I'm going to go to Waterbury and give a talk, right? Maybe it's snuggles, right? My morning snuggles. Or maybe it's the call with my best friend while I'm driving into work or something like that, right? There are still moments. If you find those moments, the important thing to do is to find those moments and like live in those moments. And that is a space that'll really help you to really feel like you are grounded and settled and enjoying yourself. And in the end, finally, is spirituality. Whether that means religion or if that just means spirituality for you, or if that means meditation, or if that means sitting and recognizing, finding awe, right? This isn't a religious space. It is a moment of recognizing your place in the universe in whichever way you want to do that, okay? So these are ways for you to practice self-care, to arm yourself, and to be ready to face the world and to start thinking about putting your shields up. Great. So think for yourself, what are some healthy coping strategies that you would like to practice? And I say healthy Now, I'm not saying don't practice the unhealthy ones because we're human, and then I would be a hypocrite, and I don't like being a hypocrite. Think about your daily coping strategies and think about like when you have a bad day, where do you fall into very easily, right? We almost always fall into the unhealthy coping strategies. Maybe think of some healthier coping strategies. Prepare yourself for smaller and larger challenges, right? Preparing yourself in advance, knowing that you're giving that midterm, right? Don't like plan to go out and go away and then beat yourself up for not grading those exams, right? Or set up the time, like go away as your reward, but make sure that you spend the time out, or write an exam that you don't necessarily have to grade as long, spend as much time grading that exam as you normally would another exam, for example, right? And then share your plans as a matter of accountability. Okay, great. So I took care of you. I took care of your students. How am I going to take care of your friends and families and your colleagues? Oh, goodness, our colleagues. And my institution and my provost and my dean, right? And my 6-year-old, and I can't quite tell. They're almost homeomorphic in the way that they like drag and request, right, things out of us. Let me tell you what this is my offer and suggestion for you, is to find your North Star. If you find your North Star, if you find your guiding light, I know it's cheesy, right? I know it's cheesy, but if you find that space, you can keep an eye on where it is that you are going and who you are. Then all that other noise falls away, and it makes it really easy for you to say no. Makes it really easy for you to decide that this is what's really important, and this is where I'm gonna die on this hill. Or it's not important for me and I'm gonna walk away. Find that space for you. Remember that again, you're a soldier fighting an act of political warfare. And with that, keep your guiding light going. And you're going to say, how do I do that? Because there's so much noise. What's right for me? Let me tell you, think about your values, your personal values, the things and characteristics that sit for you. Okay? What is critically important to your soul? It is not critically important to me or to you or to, right? Everyone is different. What is important to Elon Musk is certainly not important to me as a critical value. What are the things that are most important to me? Because if you know what is most important to you, if you know financial growth is what is most important to you, then that's where you're going to focus yourself. If you know that providing a legacy or decisiveness is what matters, then that is what will keep you going. And then you listen, you hear your dean, and you filter whatever nonsense they're saying through this framework, through this prism. And it comes into you and you say, yes, I'll go with it. No, I will not. No, I'm going to fight this. No, it's not worth my time. Does that make sense? Because you're being asked to do so much. You're being asked to do more and more and more. And you're being asked to carry the burden of the institution. And so sometimes you have to sit here and figure out what is important. Because apparently everything's important. But if everything's important, nothing's important. So how do you know what's important? So how are you going to do this? Here's what I have for you. I have a QR code. I will come back to this if I flip and you miss it. But this is there's a values assessment here. Don't just take it so you can like have the link. I will show you what's in here. Don't look at it, okay? Just download it. Okay, you got it?
Enough.
Okay, I got two. No, it's okay. So this is a values assessment. Let me show you what's in here. There's a link to a Google Doc. I'm sorry. Go for it. Yes.
I don't think it's an or.
No worries. Okay.
All right. Got it.
Got it? Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So there's a prompt here in this Word doc, and it says, this comes from Sharon Ryu Seymour of the Break Free Center. She is a therapist here in Connecticut, and I found this work of hers, and she shared this with me, gave me permission to share this. So this is what's in your Google Doc. There is this prompt, and the prompt reads, "It is your 90th birthday, and everyone who truly matters to you, friends, family, partners, parents, children, colleagues, anyone and everyone whom you truly care about, even if they're no longer alive, is gathered there in your honor. Might be a small intimate affair in a family home or a huge affair in a classy restaurant. It's your imagination, so free anything, whatever you want. Now imagine that one person who you really care about, a friend, child, partner, parent, whoever you choose, it's imaginary, whoever it is that you want, stands up and makes a speech about you, a short speech. And in no more than 3 or 4 sentences, they talk about what you stand for in life, what you mean to them, and the role that you have played in your life. And imagine them saying whatever it is deep in your heart that you would most love them to hear them say to you. And this is your ideal situation, not what your mind is telling you is the truth. Not what your mind is telling you what other people say about you, right? What did that person say about you? What does this tell you about what matters to you and who you want to stand for and what sort of person you want to be? Okay? That's the prompt. And then it takes you to a link. And that link is a checklist. It's 2 pages of values. I know. It's like creativity, to be creative or innovative. Engagement, to engage fully in what I am doing. And the prompt says to rank these as very important, quite important, not important, right? And you should theoretically come to a level where there's like, you have like 3 or 4 values, okay? Now, I've done this exercise, and whoo boy, it was hard. This is very hard to do. Because you start off by thinking all of it is important. And then you start off thinking not all of it is important. And you go, right? There were some that you could very quickly eliminate. And then there are others you're like, well, no, it had. So let me tell you my suggestion when I did a values assessment. What I did is, I'm a qualitative researcher. So I did a qualitative analysis on the values. I took all of these things and I cut them all out. And then I started arranging them because I was like, well, you know, curiosity and connection, like you could, right? I found themes that were personal to me about the way some of these words sat together, right? And I put those pieces together. And then in the end, I started grouping things that like I couldn't distinguish between one word or another. And I grouped them, and then there was like 7 piles, and 3 of them were like, this is you, Joanne. This is who you are. It was a really interesting and hard exercise. I think it took me the better part of a day, in all honesty, when I did this. But when I did it, I like knew exactly who I was or who I am. And the nice thing about doing a values assessment is that generally speaking, your values are pretty constant over time, relatively speaking, right? Like every several decades, you might want to do a reassessment. But when I did something like a values assessment, that helped me come to terms with the fact that I quit being a professor and started doing this work. Because the institution that I was at absolutely did not align with my values in a way where it was psychologically destructive for me, right? And it helps me make those decisions. It helps me come to terms with those decisions. It helps me understand where my work is. It helps me find my North Star and be able to think about what it is that I do and why do I do it all the time. So these are my gifts that I come and I share with you. I hope that you can take some of these ideas, integrate them, and hopefully not be as tired because I do agree that I'm not necessarily as tired as I actually think that I am half the time because I just love what it is that I'm doing so much. And because the work that I'm doing is so aligned with my values, right? Carrying the AirTag and a passport aside and the jet lag and the kid and all of that, right? There's something that I know, like I know that I'm standing solid in my world. And that's what helps me is that North Star. And I hope this helps you too. And with this, I have one last thought for you to carry with you when you're done. So this just is like 5 questions and a big download. So when we're done, we'll finish with my closing thoughts. Thank you, sir, by the way, in the back. Chef, thank you. Thank you.
That shows good passion.
All right. So you can certainly live into your values and you can leverage them. So this is how you do this, right? You say, do I use my values to make hard decisions? And what behaviors support my values? This is, you know how people talk about like manifesting and being like who you want to be, et cetera, et cetera. The grounding way in order to do that, right? Like that's nonsense unless it's grounded, right? And the way that you ground yourself is thinking about who you are, and who you are comes down to your values. And what behaviors don't align from your values. This work is adopted from Dr. Brene Brown's Why is that word hard right now? Dr. Brene Brown's Living in Your Values. So more work for you. Thank you so much, and happy to answer questions or chat.
Great.